Ponjasima. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, my group mates and I will be presenting about a very interesting topic, which is WILDCAT strike. And the case we choose is Malaysian doctor strike. Hello, my name is Rupinder Kaur, matrix number 01 DPM 19F1009. So, I will be talking about the introduction of the contract doctors strike.
Hi, I'm Praveen Analaki Vivekanandan, matrix number 01 DPM 19F1003, and I will be talking about the industrial dispute.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Ifa Shaina binti Nordin and my matric number is 01DPM19F1006. So I am going to explain about the progress of the strikes.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Khairul Nizam bin Haijarun and my matrix number is 01 DPM 19 F1011, and I will be explaining about the details of involvement of contract doctors strike, and also I will be explaining about WILDCAT strike.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Aisha Besini and my matric number is 01 DPM 19F1001. I will be talking about the right to strike, settlement and conclusion of the Hartal Doctor contract strike.
About the introduction of contract doctor strike. So what is and who is a contract doctor? So a contract doctor or a contract doctor system is a general scheme in the public sector. The officer appointment with this scheme is a contractor bound by a contract agreement. This system is implemented by the Public Service Commission SPA, managed by the Public Service Department JPA and the Ministry of Health Malaysia. And then it is replaces the system of regular appointment given to all the previous doctors. And then the contract appointments are given in the stages. So the first contract is for the 3 years to complete the housemanship training by the graduate medical officer, and then an additional 2 years are given to fully registered medical officer if not absorbed permanently. So and then no contract extension for the third time. For medical officer who undergo the housemanship training abroad, they are offered a one-time contract appointment for 2 years after returning to Malaysia. And then those who are subsequently not permanently absorbed for whatever reason are deemed to have expired the contract doctor and will leave the public service sector. This is what happened to the two Sarawak born doctors in early 2020. So and then since when this contract appointment system start and why was it started? So the system began in the December 2016 with the entry of the first contract physician of the year. It was introduced by the Dato Seri Najib Tun Razak in the presentation of 2017 budgeting during his resign. So according to him, it aims to shorten the long waiting period among medical graduates before starting work as a graduate doctor. This problem arises due to the imbalance in the ratio of the medical graduates to the number of permanent posts in the trainee hospital. The dumping of medical graduates that is often raised refer to the comparison with the number of permanent appointments, not the demand needs of service. So as the number of posts in the health sector cannot be increased by the government immediately, the first step to address this situation is to allow the medical graduates to enter the public service sector without such permanent posts. So the contract doctor, they are walking off their job over demand for permanent employment and other benefits which they say have not been met by the government despite an offer by the Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin on Friday to extend and broaden their employment terms. So Harta Doctor Contract, which translates to the contract doctor strike, a group that has been organizing the strike for weeks while negotiating with the government. So has warned hospitals and the state health department of the impending strike, which could involve up to 20,000 doctors, many of whom who are at the front line of the battle against COVID-19. So the contract doctor in Malaysia have agreed to participate in this strike to express their dissatisfaction with how the issue is being handled today. So Harta Doctor Contract said in an undated letter seen by the Straits Times. It is believed to have been sent to the hospital and health departments on Thursday. So the majority of junior contract doctors in Malaysia are sent to COVID-19 treatment centers and hospitals, and Hatta Doctor Contract called on them to arrange for adequate replacement next Monday. So and then in mid-July, the junior doctor took parts in a Black Monday campaigns in which they went to the work dressed in black to register unhappiness with their poor employment terms, an issue that dates back to 2016. So, it appears the matter has since deteriorated. Dozens of junior doctors resigned within 24 hours notice in the day leading up to the strike, citing burnout as COVID-19 admission rates at the hospital through the country hit record high and then overwhelming the health system. So on Friday, Selangor Health Chief Dr. Shari Nagadiman said that the 116 doctors have quit the public healthcare system in Selangor alone since January this year, citing multiple factors including burnout. So thank you.
Now I will talk about the industrial dispute. There are several major issues affecting the public health sector due to this system of contracted doctors. Now we will look at the issues. Firstly, non-transparency of absorption criteria to the permanent status appointments. The Ministry of Health has several times received question on these absorption criteria in the Dewan Rakyat. The criteria I have listed above in the slide will determine the ranking of each officer before being screened privately by the ministry. The decision whether to be absorbed permanently or not will be communicated directly to the officer. Random findings showed many physicians who maintained contract status obtained excellent annual performance appraisal report, also known as Laporan Nilaian Prestasi Tahunan (LNPT) scores and cumulative posting scores. There are also those who have passed the membership examinations such as MRCP, PACES and MRCS and other international standard examinations but still retain the contract status. This is a situation consistent with the statement of former Health Minister Dr. Adam Baba and his deputies that the granting of permanent posts is subject to vacancies which are still very limited. The civil service delay where each post is given on the interchangeable basis is applicable for a period of 5 years from 2020. Now let's look at the lack of reasonable specialist training routes. There are two parts to becoming a specialist doctor in the country currently today. The first through the master's program run by the Ministry of Health with the collaboration of Ministry of Education, and the second through the parallel pathway. So the two things in dispute are opportunity to enter the master's program, expertise training and parallel pathway financing. So contract doctors are not qualified to be considered for entry into the master's program specialist training. It is only open to permanently appointed doctors. Although more than 85% of young doctors since 2016 have contract status, the past Minister of Health, Dr. Adam Baba, did not find this to be a problem. According to him, in July 2020, the number of permanent status doctors will be sufficient to be trained to become specialists in the future. He suggested that contract appointees who wish to connect to specialist training should take a parallel pathway and fully bear the cost involved. However, contract doctors face the issue of a short contract period that does not allow them to complete any specialist training because it takes at least 4 years. This parallel pathway is also plagued by other funding issues. Without government funding, the cost of parallel pathway specialist training is very high. With salaries lower than graduate doctors over the past 4 years, this funding burden is almost certainly unbearable. Contract doctors are also denied full paid study leave to enable them to prepare for exams. It should be noted that doctors undergoing specialist training need to continue to function like other doctors in hospital wards and clinics. The current Minister of Health, OIB Khairi Jamaluddin, feels that this matter needs to be resolved. A special expertise pathway for contract doctors began to be formed with 3,000 places provided as per budget 2022. No further details were given today. Lastly, the issue of welfare of contract doctors. Contract doctors working in risky fields such as radiology and psychiatry are denied hazard leaves given to permanent doctors. Hazard leave is a period of periodic rest for doctors who are exposed to high radiation at work in addition to the ongoing mental load in the field of psychiatry. Both contract and permanent doctors are exposed to the same type of risks. Contract doctors also do not receive tuberculosis or cancer leave. This leave is given to medical officers who are infected by tuberculosis or diagnosed with cancer while still in service. For contract doctors, any leave taken if suffering from disease will be deducted from the total annual sick leave. If it exceeds the stipulated amount, their contract will be terminated. There are also other cases that have been found to occur. For example, the granting of certain allowances, such as the COVID-19 special allowance, which is often delayed due to the status of contract appointment. Some of them were also denied the opportunity to follow medical training courses in hospital on the same basis. They are also denied interruption allowances, such as to cover transportation costs, temporary placement when directed to serve outside the country of residence. The same applies even if they are sent to Sabah or Sarawak from Peninsular Malaysia or vice versa. The initial impact of these three issues has produced some worrying implications. Firstly, the leakage of trained medical personnel. Second, the loss of future generation of experts, and lastly, duality of interaction between medical officers. This was evident during the second big wave of COVID-19 last September 2020, where contract doctors were found to have voiced their dissatisfaction with the service provided.
So, now I will continue the presentation with the progress of the Hartal. On 22 June, a few days before the Hartal Doctor Contract movement began, MOH, Ministry of Health Secretary General, released a statement reminding medical officials about the effects of joining the strikes. MOH officials reportedly threatened to deregister doctors who participate in the strikes. Within this day, contract medical officials began resigning out frustration and anger with their uncertain post-contract future. The data also show that more than 1,700 government doctors resigned over the last 4 years. Next, on 24 June, Mustafa Kamal Fauzi posted a tweet about the Hartal doctor contract. They use Hartal to get a lot of attention. People will wonder and ask, what is Hartal, and what happened with the doctor? Mustafa Kamal Fauzi want this kind of publicity that bring disgust to all people and have a movement. Finally, the Hartal doctor contract moving quickly on social media. They used hashtag Hartal Doctor Contract, and the hashtag was used 18.7 thousand times across the platform. When the tweet about the Hartal goes viral, Fauzi was surprised by the public support with his initial tweet attached. Fauzi's opinion, maybe everyone is so frustrated with the government right now, and this is why the post goes viral quickly. On 29 June, Malaysian Medical Association released a statement that the government failed to protect contract doctor welfare. But the MMA section concerning house official, medical official and specialists SCHO-MOS disagree about the strikes. They are more focused on the current situations. For example, when the COVID case is still increasing and need the doctor to focus on the patients. YBMK stressed that a strike is against the law and those involved risk disciplinary action and being struck off the register by MMC, Malaysian Medical Council. MMA SCHO-MOS said in a post on Facebook, MMA maintained our stand that we do not condone a strike, but remain committed to protecting the welfare of doctors and the medical professions. We will work with KKM Ministry of Health to settle the case. Finally, the day came, 26 July, actual strike carried out by the contract doctors across the country. About more than 20 government hospitals were involved in the strikes. According to the Hartal Doctor Contract Twitter account, the hospitals are joining the strike including Selayang Hospital, Hospital Besar Pantai, Shah Alam Hospital, Kuala Lumpur Hospital and Sungai Buloh Hospital. Generally, the strike was carried out at 11 morning, the usual break time for employees, and the protest stopped after the time they need to return to do their work. And only several government hospitals were not involved.
On Monday of 26 July 2021, COVID-19 treatment centres and hospitals in Malaysia may suffer disruptions as thousands of junior doctors are set to go to on strike. According to reports, contract medical officers walked out carrying placards from 11 a.m. at Kuala Lumpur Hospital, Tengku Ampuan Rahimah Hospital in Klang, Shah Alam Hospital, Melaka Hospital, Hospital Raja Perempuan Zainab II in Kota Baru, and many more throughout the country. They started a peaceful protest at hospitals across the country at 11 a.m. to demand job security and better career opportunities. They handed over their ward duties to their colleagues before walking out, with some standing in the sun in the hospital car parks. An increase in police presence was reported in a number of hospitals. This picture was taken from The Star. In Johor Bahru, moderate police presence was observed at Hospital Sultanah Aminah with a small team of light strike force on standby since 10:15 a.m. The photo was taken from a website called The Mole. At 11 a.m., a group of 12 to 15 doctors, including medical officers and other healthcare workers, began walking out of the hospital's lobby and main entrance area. The doctors, identified by their black apparel and face masks and shields, then walked for 20 minutes around the main hospital block before stopping for a group photo and dispersing to resume their work. Meanwhile, in Ipoh, a group of 30 people believed to be doctors stood at the main entrance of the Raja Permaisuri Bainun Hospital. The group, dressed in black, was thought to be part of a nationwide strike by a group of contract doctors known as Hartal Doctor Contract. The gathering lasted less than 5 minutes. This photo was taken from The Star. The group walked about 20 meters in silence while the security guards observed their movements. The Hartal protesters later returned to their duties after their demonstration. Moreover, in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah, many doctors from 2 hospitals in the city walked peacefully outside their respective hospitals to voice their support for the Hartal Doctor Contract. About 12 to 15 doctors at the Sabah Women and Children's Hospital Likas and 2 from the main Queen Elizabeth Hospital here took a peaceful walk to push to support fairness for contract doctors. Dr. Marcus Neto said on Monday, which is the hospital director, there is no untoward incidents happened. The photo that was taken from the Malaysia Journal shows that there are 2 doctors from Queen Elizabeth Hospital 1 in Kota Kinabalu walked out at 11:58 a.m., marking a low-key protest in Sabah. One of them held up a placard that read, "We are your future specialists," while the other had a sign that read, #HContract. The pair walked straight to the hospital car park next to the common lobby. Both of them received clearance from the hospital director to take part in the walkout, and they said they did not abandon their duties. The protesters later returned to their duties after their demonstration. After going through several researches and discussions with our team members, we discovered that contract doctor strike was categorized as WILDCAT strike. So what is WILDCAT strike? WILDCAT strike can be defined as a strike action undertaken by employees without the consent of their respective unions. Such strikes are not necessarily illegal, but they often violate terms of a collective bargaining agreement. the name is based on the stereotypical characteristics associated with wildcats, which is unpredictability and uncontrollability. Wildcats are particularly beneficial to workers in a variety of situations. The most obvious is when the strike has an immediate and unusually large impact compared to the number of workers who participate.
Now, I will be talking about the right to strike. The right to strike is recognized by Malaysia over labour matters, either on an individual or collective basis. The Industrial Relations Act, IRA, 1967 describes a strike as the cessation of work by a body of workers acting in combination or a concerted refusal or a refusal under a common understanding of a number of workers to continue to work or to accept employment, which is intended to or does result in any limitation, restriction, reduction, or cessation of dilatoriness in the performance or execution of the whole or any part of the duties connected with their employment. According to the same Act, only members of a registered trade unions may legally participate in a strike, with prior registration from the General Director of the trade unions. Under Section 43 of the IRA, any strike by essential services, including healthcare, requires prior notice of 42 days to their employer. Upon receiving the notice, the employer is responsible for reporting the particulars to the Director General of Industrial Relations to allow a cooling off period and appropriate action. Employees are also protected by termination if permitted by the Director General and strike is legalized. Unfortunately, even after legalizing, there is concern that who participate in the legalized strike would be charged by the government. The police have stated that those who take part in the strike will be sued. The Ministry of Health has also issued a warning, noting those who participate in the strike may face disciplinary action. However, enforcing these laws while ignoring the fundamental problems could exacerbate COVID-19 healthcare crisis. Next, we are going to figure out the settlement part. The former Prime Minister, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, has held a parliamentary sitting on 26 of July. At the parliamentary sitting, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin has mentioned that Cabinet will review the proposal calling for all contract doctors to be given permanent posts, noting that it will cost the government up to 2 billion ringgit Malaysia. Meanwhile, even before the parliamentary sitting, there were some improvements were made, such as upgrading the grade of the contract doctors from UD41 to UD43. The targeted provisions of permanent appointments to qualify the contract doctors is carried out in a small scale of 199.4 openings per year, equivalent to 3.9%, which is gross expected entry of 5,000 new doctors per year. Extended contract for another 2 to 4 years was also announced on March 14, 2021 that it is in the final stages of research by the Ministry of Health. Malaysia's Director General of Health, DG Hisham, announced in July 2021 that within 2 years the government will implement the permanent appointment scheme with the EPF, awaiting amendment to the Pension Act. He also suggested that a special body be formed to implement this agenda. Finally, we have arrived to the last part of this presentation, which is conclusion of the Hartal Doctor Contract Strike. Although an organized strike is a legit form of industrial action, strikes by healthcare workers in Malaysia pose unprecedented challenges and ethical dilemmas, especially during the pandemic. Therefore, the Hartal Doctor Contract Strike was considered as a wildcat strike, as they should not take the pandemics or strikes to force the government to face the issues at hand. However, However, it is important for the government to take immediate steps to address the fundamental issues related to the contract doctors. As COVID-19 continues to affect thousands of people, an urgent re-evaluation is needed regarding the healthcare workers' treatment and the value placed on healthcare.
That's all from us. Thank you, Puan.